Your soulmate is in a deep depression. They are dying of regret for not telling you that they never stopped loving you. Don't skip, because what you are about to hear is not a simple story about distance or silence. It is about a love that never disappeared, one that was buried alive beneath fear, pride, and the unbearable weight of time passing without explanation. Every morning they wake up and the first thought that arrives is your name. Not as a memory. As a wound. Because they know, somewhere deep inside, that the distance between you was never created by a loss of feeling. It was created by a decision they made in a moment of weakness, a decision that has haunted every ordinary day since. Stay with this, because the reason they went silent is not what most people would assume. It was never indifference. It was never replacement. What happened was quieter than that, and far more painful to carry alone. They began to believe that you deserved someone who wasn't fighting invisible battles. Someone who could show up completely, without broken pieces hidden behind a smile. And in trying to protect you from their own storm, they disappeared from the one place they most wanted to stay. Don't skip, because something important is waiting for you in this story. The love never left. That is the part they have never found the courage to say out loud. While everything around them changed, new routines, new faces, new reasons to keep moving, the feeling that belonged to you remained completely untouched. Sealed. Like a room nobody else was allowed to enter. They have walked past that room 1,000 times. Sometimes they stood at the door. Sometimes they reached for the handle. But fear always arrived faster than courage, and so the room stayed locked, and you stayed wondering. What they never told you is that there were moments, specific, ordinary moments, when they almost broke through all of it. Once, late on a night when everything around them was silent, they opened your contact and typed your name into the message box. No words followed. Just your name. Sitting on a blank screen. They stared at it for several minutes before closing the app and setting the phone face down on the pillow beside them. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. Another time they heard a song that had no business reminding them of you. But it did. Completely and instantly. They sat in their car, in a quiet parking lot, and cried in a way they hadn't allowed themselves to cry in months. Not because the song was sad. Because it was honest. And honesty about you was something they had been running from since the day they chose silence over explanation. That is the truth your soulmate has been carrying. Not anger. Not detachment. Grief. The kind that comes from missing someone who is still alive, still reachable, still capable of hearing everything that was never said. Don't skip, because this is only the beginning of what they finally need you to understand. The depression that settled into their life after your separation was not dramatic. It did not arrive loudly or announce itself clearly. It came slowly, disguised as busy schedules and surface-level conversations. They became skilled at answering questions without revealing anything. Fine became their most used word. And nobody around them suspected what was actually happening because they had practiced looking okay for long enough that it began to feel automatic. But underneath the practiced calm, something was quietly collapsing. They stopped making plans that extended too far into the future. Not because the future frightened them, but because imagining it without you felt dishonest. Like building a life with a piece deliberately missing and pretending the gap wasn't visible. Stay with this moment, because what shifted inside them recently is the part nobody saw coming. It wasn't a dramatic event. There was no loud confrontation, no crisis, no conversation that forced the truth forward. What happened was smaller than that, and somehow more powerful because of it. They came across something connected to you. A detail. A reminder. Something that existed in the quiet overlap between your separate lives. And in that moment, for the first time in longer than they could remember, they didn't look away. They let it land. And what they felt wasn't simply sadness. It was recognition. A sudden, clear understanding that every day they spent protecting you from their honest feelings was actually a day they spent denying both of you the chance to decide together what this connection could become. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. That realization did not come gently. It arrived the way truth always does, heavier than expected and impossible to set back down once fully understood. They sat with it for a long time. Long enough to finally stop arguing against it. Long enough to admit, in the silence of their own mind, that the love they had been carrying was not old news. It was not a fading echo from a chapter that had already closed. It was present. Alive. And exhausted from being hidden. Have you ever wondered what happens inside someone when they finally stop running from a feeling they've been avoiding for months? It doesn't feel like relief immediately. It feels like standing in an open field after being inside a small room for far too long. Disorienting. Overwhelming. But real. That is where your soulmate stood recently. Exposed to the full weight of everything they had refused to name. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. They began asking themselves a different question. Not the old question, whether reaching out would fix everything or whether the timing was right or whether you had already found a way to move forward without them. Those questions had circled for months without producing anything except more distance. The new question was simpler. And far more honest. What if you deserved to know? Not a strategy. Not a perfect explanation wrapped in the right words at the right moment. Simply the truth, offered without conditions. That they never stopped. That the silence was fear, not absence. That whatever you chose to do with that information belonged entirely to you, but the information itself had always been yours. Don't skip, because this is the moment everything begins to shift. Your soulmate is not the same person who chose silence the first time. The months in between have changed something fundamental. They no longer believe that disappearing protects the people they love. They now understand, with a clarity that only regret can teach, that honesty offered gently is always more respectful than silence offered out of fear. They have been rehearsing, not a speech, but a version of themselves capable of saying the truth without flinching. Capable of letting you respond however you need to respond. Capable of accepting that love sometimes means handing someone the full story and trusting them to decide what it means. And here is what nobody around them knows yet. Stay with this. They have made a quiet decision. One they haven't announced. One they haven't discussed. It lives only inside them for now, but it is real, and it is moving them forward in a direction they haven't chosen in a very long time. Toward you. Not with demands. Not with promises designed to sound impressive. With honesty. Just that. The simplest and most terrifying gift one person can offer another. Stay till the end, because what follows is the part that changes everything. There is one thing they want you to know before any conversation happens, one thing they hope reaches you even before the words do. While you were busy wondering if any of this was real, they were busy proving to themselves that it was. Every quiet decision they made during the silence, every moment they chose not to replace what they felt with something easier, was a choice made because of you. Not for your approval. For their own honesty. The love that began between you was never finished. It simply went underground. And now, slowly, with the kind of courage that only becomes available after someone has truly run out of excuses, it is finding its way back toward the surface. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. Your soulmate is done with silence. They are done with the depression that comes from carrying a truth too long without releasing it. They are done asking themselves whether you would understand, because they finally believe that you deserve the chance to decide that for yourself. Whatever happens next, one thing has already changed. They are no longer hiding. And somewhere, beneath everything you have been feeling in the quiet moments when nobody is watching, perhaps you already knew that this story was not finished. Perhaps that is exactly why you are here, reading these words, feeling something you cannot quite name but cannot quite dismiss either. Stay till the end. Because the most important chapter of this connection has not been written yet. And the person who was once too afraid to pick up the pen has finally decided they are ready.